Broadcasting from the southernmost headquarters of the Exceptional Conservative Network, it's the Willie Lawson Show. It's the hippest urban conservative trip in America. And now, your host, Willie Lawson. And we're here, and we are here. Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, powered by SHR Media and syndicated by the great people at High Plains Talk Radio. Today's show is going to be the show that broke all the barriers, that changed the game entirely. That is the one that you're going to be talking about. It's the one that's going to be shared the most today. It's the one that's going to be talked about the most today, not only here on the Exceptional Conservative Network and SHR Media and High Plains Talk Radio, but around the world. Because this is one of those things that that get mentioned but don't get talked about. You know what I'm saying? It gets mentioned, but it doesn't get talked about. We're going to attack something that a lot of people will not attack, and it's poverty. Now, the left will have you think that they are the champions of the poor. No, what they are the champions of is poverty. Because what they know is that if they can keep people poor, if they can keep them away from prosperity, if they could keep them away, from the secrets of prosperity in America, then they can control them. Then they can keep them in a victim mentality. And if they keep them in a victim mentality, they can keep them on the voter rolls of the left and Democrats forever and ever and ever. If they keep telling them the lie that the system is rigged against them and there's no way that they're ever going to prosper in America without them. There's no way that they could be prosperous on their own. And everybody else who's offering solutions is lying to them. There's a problem. This is what the left never counted on. They never counted on big data. It's a term that some people I'm hanging out with are using on a regular basis, and I'm going to start using it too. They never counted on big data. You know, for years and years and years, everything was anecdotal. Everybody was just telling stories. But now there is data. Now there are real numbers that you can point to, facts. And I know that facts are hard things. It used to just be stories that people told. Well, what about this story of this blah blah blah? And you can still tell that, you can still find that anecdotal, that storytelling mode in almost everything that the left and Democrats especially do. There wasn't one speech that I remember from Barack Obama that didn't have some anecdotal story in it. Well, I got an email from Susie Cream Cheese from Walla Walla, Washington, and she said, Mr. President, please make sure that my dad can keep getting his chemotherapy because of the Affordable Care Act. Now, I can sit here and say that story wasn't true, or I could think, well, how many people does that really affect? Does it affect, frankly, enough people to change the system, to take over 1/6 of the nation's economy, to make it more difficult for a lot more people to actually have insurance? I could Or I could just go along with a heart-touching story of Susie Cream Cheese and Mr. Cream Cheese. I could do that. And this is what the left has expected you to do, and Democrats have expected you to do for years and years and years. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. But is that one story enough to change, to flip the system on top of its head? No, but now we've got big data. Now we've got numbers. Now we've got real facts. Now the President Obama mentioned while they were talking about the Affordable Care Act, and this is not a show about the Affordable Care Act, but that people are going to come to you. He said to people who he was trying to get out in the neighborhoods and talk up the Affordable Care Act. He said to them, people are going to come to you with facts and figures. Yeah, because what you're doing is facts and figures. What you're having an effect on are facts and figures, and facts are how things affect people's lives for real, and the figures are how these things affect a lot of people's lives. So yeah, people are going to come to you with facts and figures. Thank God for big data. Big data has come up with this plan of how not to be poor in America. There is a plan. There is a plan on how not to be poor in America. Now, here's the scary part for the left. If we figure out in the urban community and America at large, if we figure out how not to be poor, then they're through. Then they're through. Then they are through. Then this whole use of poor versus rich, haves versus have-nots, this whole system that is slanted towards socialism and eventually communism is going to be shot. And they are going to fight like hell to make sure that news like this, that information like this doesn't get to kids. They're going to make sure that it doesn't get to kids. And they're going to deem it as racist. They're going to deem it as misogynistic. They're going to deem it as xenophobic. They're going to deem it as anything they can to make sure that the children of America, and especially the black and brown children of America, don't get this information. You're not going to hear this on BET or TV One or MTV. You're not. They're not going to be teaching it in public schools. Now, we could say they ought to teach this stuff in public schools, but they're not going to. Why? Because if the kids get it, they're screwed. The left is screwed. The Democrat Party is screwed. Like my friend Sonny Johnson, who, by the way, who's going to be on this program next Tuesday morning. Write it down on your calendar. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be off the chain. That's all there is to it. It is going to be off the friggin' chain. She said that Democrats want to be the party of the poor. In order to do that, they've got to keep you poor. You know, Mason Weaver kept talking about, and Larry Elder talked about the if you look at the Congressional Black Caucus and some of the black leaders and Democrat leaders, the more influence and power and wealth they gain, the less is gained in urban America. The poorer urban America gets. Because they don't want us to follow their example. Do they? And I'm going to tell you what I'm just going to, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to tell you what poverty is, how many people in America are actually poor, and what people below the poverty level, how they really live. And then I'm going to tell you how not to be poor in America long term. Now, not that you won't have struggles. It's like when you accepted Christ. It didn't mean that you wouldn't have struggles. It wouldn't mean that you wouldn't have difficulties. But I'm going to teach you tonight how not to be poor in America. We'll be back right after these messages. Innovation, inspiration, and imagination. 3 important characteristics that are important in any business, but especially in real estate when you're looking for your forever home. And when that home is a new home, there are very, very many things that must go right. The financing must be on point. The furnishings must be on point. The location and neighborhood must be on point. And if you need someone to get that right the first time, you have to go to my friend Gary Knight at New Homes of Tampa Bay. That's New Homes of Tampa Bay. You can reach him on the web at www.newhomestpa.com. If you're looking for innovation through technology, inspiration and imagination through hard work, www.newhomestpa.com. There's no reason to wait for a special occasion to send flowers. No reason to wait until you miss a birthday or an anniversary or Valentine's Day to send flowers. All you have to do is get a hold of my friend Christine at Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, www.bloomingdays.com. That's www.bloomingdays.com. And tell her that you want to send the very best, that you care enough to send the very best. One of FTD's top florists in all of the United States, always in the top 100 of flower shops in the United States. That's Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, www.bloomingdays.com. Forget calling 1-800-something, www.bloomingdays.com. It's great to have partners, but it's even better when one of your partners is one of the finest urban conservatives in America. That's my friend Kevin Batts. Kevin Batts of Red River Chronicle TV. Red River Chronicle TV is taking the internet by storm. With fabulous production, amazing commentary, and incredible insight, Red River TV is the thing that we'll all be watching in 2017. They are the people, Kevin and his wife Janelle, are the voices that are going to make the difference in urban America in 2017. So get in on the ground floor. Go to www.redriverchronicle.com and subscribe to Red River TV today. All righty. Welcome back to the Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, powered by SHR Media and syndicated worldwide by our friends at High Plains Talk Radio. Today is the day that is simply going to it's going to break the back of the left. That's right. I know that's one of those things that that you say that's kind of out there, that sounds hyperbolic, but you know what? We're going to break the back of the left and the Democrat Party today. They want to be the party of the poor. Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make sure that people know how not to be poor. There's no shame in poverty, but there doggone sure isn't any honor in it. There's nothing, being poor isn't anything to attain, to strive for. Being broke ain't no joke. Being broke ain't no joke. And anybody who's broke, this ain't no joke. This is not some political thing. This is not something that anybody who's broke enjoys. This is not anything that anybody who doesn't have any money, who has to go to the government with their hand out, who has to go to friends with their hand out. This ain't no joke to be broke. But let's talk about poverty for a little bit, shall we? For most Americans, the word poverty suggests destitution. an inability to provide a family with nutritious food, clothing, and reasonable shelter. And this is how the left talks about poverty and people below the poverty level. But only a small number of the 35 million people classified as, quote, poor in the Census Bureau fit that description. While real material hardship does certainly occur, it is limited in scope and severity. In America, most of America's, quote, poor, end quote, live in material conditions that will be judged as comfortable or even well off just a few generations ago. Today's expenditures on the median American household in the 1970s after adjusting for inflation. The following are facts about persons defined, quote, as poor by the Census Bureau taken from various government reports. Check this out. 46% of people of all poor households actually own their own homes. 46% of all poor households, people who fall below the poverty level, actually own their own homes. The average home owned by a person classified as poor by the Census Bureau, these are the government, this is the freaking government numbers, is a 3-bedroom house with 1.5 baths. I don't have 1.5 baths in my house. I have 2. A garage. I don't have a garage. A porch or a patio. 76% of poor households have air conditioning. By contrast, 30 years ago, only 36% of the entire U.S. population enjoyed air conditioning. I did not grow up in a house with air conditioning. In Florida, the first place I lived any time at all with air conditioning was the dorm at Florida State University. Sally Hall was the first place I lived for any length of time that had air conditioning. And not even all the dorms on campus in the early 80s, listen to me, had air conditioning at Florida State University. Only 6% of poor households are overcrowded. More than two-thirds have more than 2 rooms per person. The average poor American has more living space than the average individual living in Paris, London, Vienna, Athens, and other cities throughout Europe. These comparisons are to the average citizen in foreign countries, not to those characterized as poor. Now, we're talking about most people who are, quote, poor, end quote, in America live in a bigger place than those who live in Paris, London, and Vienna. Now, they just like the smaller crap in Europe. The average person just likes the smaller crap because that's how they have them living. Nearly 3/4 of poor households own a car. 30% own 2 or more cars. 97% of poor households have a color television, and half own 2 or more TVs. The first color TV that I owned personally, my wife and I bought in 1988. Are you listening to me? 1988. 78% have a VCR or DVD player. 62% have cable or satellite TV reception. 73% own a microwave oven. More than half have a stereo, and a third have an automatic dishwasher. I don't have an automatic dishwasher. I got a microwave. We got a little red Republican red microwave. We do. We do. Now, I gave you those numbers because the left is characterizing people who are below the poverty level or poor as destitute. And they want to sort of bring up images of people who are living in the worst parts of India. This is why they are violent. This is why they steal. This is why they can't learn. This is why. But these are people who are living in conditions that are better than the conditions that a lot of us grew up in our middle-class households in the 70s and 80s. So we first have to get that definition and those bits of facts out. Now, when we're talking about poor, we're only talking about American poor. And American poor is a damn sight better than a lot of people around the world, or even how we grew up. But there's help on the way. If you don't want to live like American poor, there's ways. There are 3 particular ways to ensure through your behavior, not even through your color, not through your connections, not through your politics, not even through your faith, that you can pretty much ensure that you and your family, the odds of long-term poverty in your life are virtually nil. That means none for us public school kids. And you're saying, well, Willie, where did you get this information? I got it from the fairly left-leaning National Center for Policy Analysis. It's a policy paper, number 428. You can look it up yourself on the ncpa.org website. Written back in 2003 by a person named Blake Bailey. I shouldn't say guy. I don't know if Blake is a man or a woman. I don't know. But it starts like this. About 31 million Americans live in households with incomes below the poverty level, according to the latest U.S. Census data. Poverty is more a lack of income. It's more than a lack of income. It is also the consequence of specific behaviors and decisions. You know, we have the pastor from our main church in Chicago says that poverty isn't the lack of money. It's the evidence of misspent money. And this is what the National Center for Policy Analysis is saying as well. The 2001 census data clearly shows that dropping out of high school, staying single, and having children without a spouse, working only part-time or not working at all, substantially increases the chances of long-term poverty. Certain behaviors are a recipe for success. Among those who finish high school, get married, have children only within a marriage, and go to work, the odds of long-term poverty are virtually nil. You hear what I said? What would be the power of talking to 6th graders at the beginning of 12-year-olds, the beginning of 6th grade, the beginning of middle school, and say, listen, here's the deal. Here's what you got to do. You got to finish high school. You got to get married and then have children. And you won't be poor. If you can replace all the messages that they hear about that Susie has 2 daddies and any number of other ridiculous messages that they hear, if you care about these children and insert the message, listen, you got to finish high school. Let's do that. You got to finish high school successfully. Get married. Don't have no babies until you get married. Get a job. Work somewhere. Doing something. And you won't be poor. Because nobody wants to be poor. Nobody wants to be poor even with the definition of what I told you poor is in America. Nobody wants to be that. The only way other than winning the lotto, which is a sucker bet. So if you finish high school and you do any mathematics, you know that that lotto is a sucker bet, right? Right? Other than getting uber lucky on a sucker bet, the best way are those 3 things. And there is data, there is evidence to back it up. There's proof. Now, there's no proof that if you do this, you're going to be Donald Trump wealthy. But you're not going to be poor. There is evidence to say. There is evidence to support that you're not going to be poor, that you're not going to be long-term poor, and that you're not going to be poor even by American standards. Here are the numbers. First thing, stay in school. Simply completing high school greatly increases a person's chances of not being poor. The Census Bureau reports that only 9.6% of high school graduates are poor, compared to 22.2% of those without a diploma. You are twice as likely to be poor if you do not finish high school than if you do. Those people who complete some college, only 6.6% of those fall below the poverty line. This drops to 3.3% of those with a bachelor's degree or higher. So you are you are half as likely to be poor if you've got some college. I didn't say get a PhD, but some college than the people who don't have any. Some. 6.6% of people who have some college fall below the poverty line. It drops to 3.3% of those with a bachelor's degree. Furthermore, lower the propensities for poverty lasts throughout a person's life. In every adult group, people who fail to obtain a high school degree or diploma are more than twice as likely to fall into poverty. People's ages 20 to 54 are nearly 3 times as likely. The numbers are worse for long-term poverty that lasts for years. An Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, another leftist group report, found that in the United States, high school dropouts suffer long-term poverty, a long-term poverty rate of 14.2%, while high school grads have only a 3.8 long-term poverty rate. More than 4 times as likely to have a long-term poverty rate if you just graduate from friggin' high school. Come on now. Only 1.2% of adults receiving some education beyond high school are poor long-term. Almost 14 times more likely to be poor if you don't have some education. That you can pull down the chances of being poor down to 1.2% by even going beyond high school. So you wonder, listen to me carefully. Now, I'm not a big conspiratorialist, but you wonder why the left is doing everything they can to submarine education. They're doing everything that they possibly can do to submarine school choice, to making it so kids can actually get the education that they need. So why do you think they're doing this? Because what they know what you know now. If the kid actually graduates from high school, the chances of them being poor long term, and if they actually go beyond high school, the chances of them being poor long term, and thus being ripe for the picking for the left and the Democrat Party, fall to damn near nothing. That's why. You wonder why. You wonder why they don't want the urban mom to have choice for her kids. This is why. It's what Sonny Johnson, who is going to be on this program next Tuesday, make sure that you listen. Make sure that you write that down, okay? This is why, like Sonny Johnson says, the Democrats want to be the party of the poor, In order to do that, they have to keep you poor. Get a job. Part 2, get a job. Despite concerns about the working poor, most people who work full-time, even at minimum wage jobs, listen to me carefully. Write this down. Even at minimum wage jobs, avoid poverty. Only 2.6% of people 16 years or older with full-time jobs are poor, according to the census data. 2.6% of people who are 16 years or older with full-time jobs are poor, according to census data. By contrast, 11% of part-time workers fall under the poverty line, and 20.8% of those who do not work fall below the poverty line. The advantages of work hold true even for at-risk groups such as single mothers. We're gonna find out the data on single mothers here in a little bit. About 83% of single mothers who do not work are in poverty, compared to nearly 60% who work part-time. 23% of single mothers who work at least part-time do better than the single moms who don't work. But less than 18% of single mothers who work full-time are in poverty. Less than 18% of single mothers who work full-time are in poverty. Working also significantly reduces long-term poverty, according to an analysis from the Census Bureau's Survey of Income and Program Participation. 10.8% of adults who do not work are poor over the long term, in contrast to only 1.7% of those employed part-time stay poor for extended periods. People employed full-time have a, listen to this, 0.4% of chance of long-term poverty. Get a job. Graduate from high school, get a job. Even if it's some bullcrap minimum wage gig, get it. If you gotta work for Mickey D's or Wendy's or Pizza Hut or whatever the hell it is, do it. Just do it. Moreover, government can encourage behavioral changes. Research shows that between 1/3 and 1/2 of the fall in poverty among single mothers on welfare after 1994 was due to the 1996 welfare reforms that encouraged work. Welfare reforms in the mid-90s who said you gotta get a job. You gotta go get a job. You're gonna do better. According to, again, the National Center for Policy Analysis, here are the numbers. By long term, by family type. 2 adults and children, 1.7% fall into long-term poverty. 2 adults with no kids, 1.3% of them fall into long-term poverty by family types. Single adults with no children, 7.9% of them, according to the make sure I get this, the Organization for Economic and Development. Single adults with no children, 7.9% of them fall into long-term poverty. Single adults with children, 26% of that family type falls into long-term poverty. Which is why you get married. According to the National Center for Policy Analysis, marriage is also a strong deterrent to poverty. Only 4% of married couples without children, only 4% of married couples without children are in poverty. In contrast, the poverty rate for singles without children is 8.6%. We'll be back with more of this right after these messages. Hang on. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon and you're Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hi, it's your business diva here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
Nothing fits a home perfectly than a brand new grand piano. And if you're looking for a piano for your brand new home, you've got to visit Dave's Piano. And that's davespianoshowroom.com. If you're looking for the perfect thing to set off your new home, a piano is what you're looking for. And my friend Dave has the perfect piano for you. And the best thing about buying a piano from Dave is that he does everything. He delivers, he sets up, he tunes, he takes care of everything. The best part about Dave's Piano, quite frankly, is Dave. So when you buy a piano from Dave's Piano Showroom, you only deal with Dave. You can reach them at www.davespianoshowroom.com. That's davespianoshowroom.com. It's all the rage to call and order flowers from 1-800-whatever or go online and order them from some nameless, faceless person on the other end. I'm saying you should do something different. You should, before doing that, call my friends at Blooming Days Flower Shop, located right here in Tampa, Florida, at 11618 North Florida Avenue, 33612. Christine and her staff don't look at just the order. They look at the customer. They look at your occasion. They consider the entire person, the entire occasion, before making decisions about design and price. You're more than just a customer. You're a friend. Call our friends at Blooming Days Flower Shop, toll free at 1-800-330-3297. 1-800-330-3297. Local 813-971-5947. 813-971-5947. You can reach them on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. Information is crucial when you're looking to purchase a new home. With so many choices of communities and options, choosing the right one for you and your family can be a daunting task. That's why you need to go to New Homes of Tampa Bay right now, www.newhomestpa.com, and get the information you need Learn how people save thousands of dollars when purchasing new homes. Buy like the pros. New Homes Tampa Bay. www.newhomestpa.com. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservative.com. All right. Well, welcome back to the Will Austin Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, powered by SHR Media and syndicated by our friends at High Plains Talk Radio. Today, we are breaking the back of the left. We are breaking their stronghold over America, and especially urban America, by giving you the keys to the kingdom, how not to be poor in America. We've talked about two major ways: finish school, get married. Married couples are less likely to be in poverty, even if you don't have kids. If you are married without children, you are the least likely of the four situations to be below the poverty level. Two adults with children, 1.7% of them fall into long-term poverty. Only 1.3% of people who have two adults and no kids fall into long-term poverty. Now, here's the other part. Now, here's where I've gone. I didn't go there. The National Center for Policy Analysis goes from preaching to meddling. Here's where they go from preaching to meddling. Do not have children out of wedlock. What? Murphy Brown had children out of wedlock, blah, 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 blah. And that seems to be the strong. Do you wonder why the left continues to push this narrative of the strong black woman who chooses to have children out of wedlock? Do you wonder that? Why that is? Why is that a strong message that they continue to send to our community? Why is that? It goes back to what we've been saying. In order to be the party of the poor, they have got to have poor people. Well, you know what? They can have poor people, but it doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be me. The third pillar in making sure that you are not poor, especially long term, is do not have children out of wedlock. Having children outside of marriage is costly for both the individual and the child, the Census Bureau reports. Of those households with two or more children under the age of 18, 7.9% of married households were poor, while 51.6% of never married households were poor, with children under 18. Of those households with two or more children under the age of 6, 11% of married households were poor, while 62% of never married households with kids under the age of 6 were poor. According to the OECD study, spells of poverty are 12.6% shorter for married households compared to female-headed households. Now, this is what I was talking about in the open. Yeah, there are going to be times where you struggle. There are going to be times when you struggle. There's going to be times that are better than others, and there's going to be times that are worse than others, and you struggle. Just like when you accepted Christ, there was no get out of trouble card. There's going to be times where it's going to be more difficult. Yes, that's not what we're talking about. But even under those times, those spells of poverty are 12.5% shorter for married households compared to female-headed households. Then why is the left continue, not only in politics, but on television and in media, BET, TV One, continuing to push the narrative of the strong, single, black woman with children, knowing full well that is not the best for the children or the women? Similarly, married households with children are much more likely to avoid long-term poverty than single-parent households. Only 1.7% of married households with children suffer long-term poverty, while 26% of single-parent households are poor long-term. Listen to these numbers. Write them down if you have to. That way you can go back over them later. Only 1.7% of married households with children suffer long-term poverty, while 26% of single-parent households are poor long-term. Child poverty is dependent on the behavior of parents. I'm going to say this one more time. Child poverty is dependent on the behavior of parents. Using data from national longitudinal studies of youth, a Heritage Foundation study finds, on average, a child raised by a never-married mother is 9 times more likely to live in poverty than a child raised by two parents in an intact marriage. 9 times. Not racism, not racism or misogyny, not racism, but a child raised by a never married mother is 9 times more likely to live in poverty than a child raised by two parents in an intact marriage. 9 times. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And knowing that, why would anybody continue to preach to young women that what they're doing is not only a great idea, but the best idea? Because we can all go back to anecdotal evidence about people who have made it. I have a family member raising a daughter by herself. And it is my belief that my great niece is going to do great. Smart. But her mother works full time. Her mother graduated from high school. Her mother works full time. So in that, she sort of assuaged some of the pitfalls of poverty by graduating from high school, by working full time. So she sort of pushed away some of the things that drag people down. My great niece is going to be amazing. Nearly 80% of children in long-term poverty live in some type of broken family or with never married parents. Children born to parents who do not marry spend on average 56.7% of their lives in poverty, more than half of their lives in poverty, as opposed to just 6.3% of children in married families. 56.7% of their lives in poverty, as opposed to just 6.3% for children in married families. In conclusion, poverty is most often a consequence of specific behavior. By engaging in other behaviors, people can avoid poverty. To help people escape poverty, government programs should blah, 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 blah. I don't believe government programs should be able to do anything because government programs cannot really affect people's behavior. So when Ben Shapiro says that the problem in the African American community, in the black community, is not racism, it's cultural, it's how we behave, he's right. Now, that it may not be what people want to hear. It may not be what people want to hear, but it's the truth. It's how you behave that puts you in the place that you are. It's how you think is who you are. The Bible says, however a man thinketh in his heart, that's how he is. We'll be back with more of the Will Austin Show here right after these messages. Innovation, inspiration, and imagination. 3 important characteristics that are important in any business, but especially in real estate when you're looking for your forever home. And when that home is a new home, there are very, very many things that must go right. The financing must be on point. The furnishings must be on point. The location and neighborhood must be on point. And if you need someone to get that right the first time, you have to go to my friend Gary Knight at New Homes of Tampa Bay. That's New Homes of Tampa Bay. You can reach him on the web at www.newhomestpa.com. If you're looking for innovation through technology, inspiration, and imagination through hard work, www.newhomestpa.com. There's no reason to wait for a special occasion to send flowers. No reason to wait until you miss a birthday or an anniversary or Valentine's Day to send flowers. All you have to do is get a hold of my friend Christine at Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, www.bloomingdays.com. That's www.bloomingdays.com. And tell her that you want to send the very best, that you care enough to send the very best. One of FTD's top florists in all of the United States, always in the top 100 of flower shops in the United States. That's Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, www.bloomingdays.com. Forget calling 1-800-something, www.bloomingdays.com. It's great to have partners, but it's even better when one of your partners is one of the finest urban conservatives in America. That's my friend Kevin Batts. Kevin Batts of Red River Chronicle TV. Red River Chronicle TV is taking the internet by storm. With fabulous production, amazing commentary, and incredible insight, Red River TV is the thing that we'll all be watching in 2017. They are the people, Kevin and his wife Janelle, are the voices that are going to make the difference in urban America in 2017. So get in on the ground floor. Go to www.redriverchronicle.com and subscribe to Red River TV today. All right, welcome back to the Will Watson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, powered by SHR Media and syndicated worldwide by our great friends at High Plains Talk Radio. Again, if you're listening on High Plains Talk Radio or SHR Media, let me know. Send me an email at wlstecn@gmail.com. That's wlstecn@gmail.com. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know how to improve. Let me know what you want to hear about. Questions about me, questions about the program, questions about the network. Bring it on. Bring it on. That's wlstecn@gmail.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter at RBMShow. And I'll tell you, if you write me, I'll tell you the story about that Twitter handle. I'd love to hear from you because that's how we get better. Now, if you like what we do, here's what I need you to do. I need you to share this program with as many people as you possibly can. It is so important that you share this program. You know what? Liking it's cool. Clicking the like button, that's cool. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good to see likes. But you know what makes me feel better is that when you say, this is so good, I'm going to share it with a friend of mine. It's like good food. That's how you know. That's how you know. The food is so good that I want to take my best friends to that restaurant. I want to take everybody to that restaurant. I want to get on Yelp and I want to tell everybody. I want to get on Facebook. I want to tell everybody about this restaurant. I want to tell everybody about this program on TECN. That's what we need you to do. So we'll see you again on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Thanks for coming.